Good morning or afternoon, wherever you find yourself. We are so glad that you are here. We wanted to choose like a pump up song because we're talking goals and it's the beginning of a new year and it just felt right, you know? That song is on my son's pump up playlist that we listen to on the way to school, so we get super hyped. We're so glad you're here on a Saturday. You could literally be doing anything, and you are choosing to show up for yourself and gain tools to achieve your goals in life. And that is big. And it honestly says a lot about you. You're giving yourself this amazing gift by spending your time this way. For those of you whom we haven't had a chance to meet yet, I'm Karianne. I'm the Verizon Skill Forward Project Coordinator. And when I'm not helping learners kick butt, I love to paddleboard, make pottery, and bike, especially with my 5-year-old son. And on the call today, we've also got Ashley Rumschlag.
Hello, everyone. I don't know if it's just me, but I was literally just like dancing and really getting myself hyped up. So great song choice, Karianne. Hi, I'm Ashley Rumschlag. I am the National Director for domesticshelters.org, which is a program of Alliance for Hope, which is the wonderful organization that's bringing all this together with Verizon. But when I am not working with domesticshelters.org and Alliance for Hope and making a difference for domestic violence victims and survivors, I love to go hiking and I love to cook and bake. I've recently discovered the joy of baking bread, and I just love that so much. So I'm so glad to be here with you all today on this wonderful Saturday.
Awesome. Thanks, Ashley. I wish we lived closer so you could send some bread my way. A little
I would
friendly
absolutely,
offering
I'll have to figure out a way.
one of these days. For those of you that are new here, Verizon Skill Forward is an upskilling initiative in partnership with Alliance for Hope International. And what this means is that learners who are a part of our program get access to online self-paced skill building courses for free. I don't know about you. I love free. Free is my jam. There are over 100 of these professional certificate programs that you can take and put them on your resume, or if you're looking for a job, you can use that as leverage to help show that you are capable and hireable. You can use it to ask for a raise. Some people even will stack these courses to be able to completely pivot careers. And Verizon has partnered with edX to offer you a curated list of courses in all kinds of topics like cybersecurity, AI, finance, social work, graphic design, psychology, coding, nutrition, basic languages, and seriously, so much more. Ashley is sharing the link to our interest form in the chat. And the purpose of this interest form is to get some information to you so that we can get in touch, or get information from you so that we can get in touch with you later. It also gives you some questions to reflect on to really figure out how ready are you to move forward into upskilling. So when you fill out this form, you will be asked a question of how ready are you to get started. And once you answer that question and submit your form, you will be sent an email that has everything you need to get started. You'll be able to create your Skill Forward edX account, join our Telegram channel, hop on over to our private Facebook group, and that's a place where we share encouragement, mindfulness practices, general mindset tools. Facebook is also just a really great place to connect with other learners and to offer and receive encouragement. Our whole goal is to build community around this program because just doing it alone, it's not fun. It's not as effective. There's so many reasons why going together is better. So we are thrilled to be able to offer this program to anyone and everyone possible. So when you see that interest form link, you're more than welcome to share it with your friends, family, an organization that you may work for, etc. So then we want to hear from you. How did you hear about Skill Forward or this call, and where are you joining from today? You can drop your answers in the chat. I bet we've got people in all kinds of time zones. My chat is loading, so I don't see it yet. Where? Connecticut. Awesome. Welcome, Kate. South Carolina. Awesome. New Jersey, San Diego. Awesome. OVW in Maryland. Wonderful. Rhode Island, New York. We've got some repeats here. Hi, Justin from Massachusetts. A lot of people were on our welcome call, and I'm recognizing some names. Awesome. This is such a diverse group from all over the country, and we are just so glad to be able to join together with you today in this way. Y'all, I don't know this, but on this Saturday morning, January 11th, you are making history. This is a pilot program, so it has never existed before. We're creating this as we go, and this right now is our first of hopefully many monthly deep dives, and you are a part of it. So to kick off our program in December and January, we hosted 2 welcome calls. If you were able to attend either of those, will you type an exuberant yes in the chat? I recognize some names. Yes, Kate. I know Rochelle was there. Hi, Kimberly, Lori, amazing. Brenda, we had so many people join us. It was really a really fun way to get this started. We loved coming together to establish community, and this is such an amazing group of go-getters. The support was absolutely palpable. It was so cool. In our welcome calls, we talked about the importance of really getting in touch with your why. If you don't fully understand why you are making a change, you are more likely to abandon said change when things get tough, which they always do. We'll touch on that a little bit more later because it's so important. So an overview of today's call. Here's what we're going to cover. Why goal setting is important, what SMART goals are and why they work, 6 steps to follow to make your goal a reality, because it ain't going to happen on its own. So I'm so curious to hear from you. When you hear about goal setting, what comes to mind for you? What are the thoughts and feelings associated with setting goals? Or even if you want to think of it through the lens of New Year's resolutions, I would love to see your answers in the chat. What comes to mind for you? There could be anything from empowerment, commitment, love it. There might be overwhelm. There might be feelings of just this is a future failure. Determination. Brenda's bringing the positivity. Amazing. Can I finish my goals? We always ask that question, right? It's a big question. Yeah, there's a lot of mixed feelings that can come up around this because sometimes our goals are really empowering, but sometimes we also fail at them. And in turn, we feel like we are failures, and that is not a great way to feel. Chances are, though, that you have never fully understood the blueprint of a goal because it's not something that we're taught until now. The truth is that goals give us direction and purpose. They help us to focus on what truly matters, especially when life feels overwhelming or uncertain. They actually improve your life because I don't know if you know this, but hope cannot exist without goals. It can't. And in case you've never heard before, there actually is a science of hope. It is measurable. It is not some fluffy word. When we say things like, oh, I hope it doesn't rain this week, that is actually not hope. We are using the word in a completely incorrect way. So hope involves these 3 things. You got to have a goal. That's the main thing. You also need to have willpower, that determination to actually make your goal a reality. And then you've got to have way power. And I think about this like a GPS. If you're going somewhere, you've got it plugged into your Apple Maps, whatever, you've got your destination. There could be a roadblock. There could be a car accident. There could be, you might just take a wrong turn. And way power is our ability to find a way to get to that goal, regardless of if we take a wrong turn, regardless of if a road is maybe closed. We can figure it out. We can figure out multiple pathways to get to the same goal. So if hope requires these 3 things, you truly cannot be a hopeful person without having goals. Hope does not exist outside of having goals. We're going to dive into 6 steps regarding goal setting. And I want to preface this by telling you, one of my favorite podcast hosts of all times is Mel Robbins. Hands down, she's amazing. She has such inspiring content. I highly recommend that you listen to her podcast. She gave all her listeners permission to share this formula. I was listening to it thinking, oh my gosh, would it be appropriate for me to just copy this because it's so good, but I don't want to steal other people's work? And then at step 5, she finally said, you can copy this, share this with everyone. Yay! So you are going to hear a lot of her content. She wants people to copy this because she wants you and me to be successful. In the words of one of my favorite movie characters, Fräulein Maria, let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. The first step is you need to decide what you want. Okay, can I just say that this is hard? There are a lot of reasons that this question, what do you want, might be hard to answer. You may have been told not to dream in life because of anything from race, gender, sexual orientation, being a parent, relationship status, a bazillion other reasons. And also, so many of our learners are connected in some way, impacted in some way by domestic violence. If you have had an abusive or manipulative partner, you probably slid real far down that priority list because the only want that you were able to actually access inside of yourself was trying to keep the peace in your home and in your relationship. And not only, as so many know, not only does it take a ton of work and energy to do that, but it often doesn't even work. So can we just agree that that changes right now? Okay, it is time. If you're with me, I want you to type now in the chat. It is time to get you back on the top of the priority list. Yes, so many people are with it. We are doing this. All right, who knows the game Chutes and Ladders? This is such a classic childhood board game. In that game, you spin the spinner and it tells you how many spaces you move forward. Sometimes you land on a ladder and you get to climb up to a space that's further down the game. But sometimes you land on a slide and you are sliding down. Sometimes it even pushes you all the way back to the beginning of the game. And I will tell you from my 5-year-old's experience, this is very, very upsetting and disappointing. You cannot always control the chutes of life, but you can decide that you are going to start climbing back up that ladder. And I want you to actually imagine yourself climbing a ladder. It takes grit and strength. It gets scarier the farther from the ground that you go, especially if you have a fear of heights. But with this analogy, it gets harder because you are not used to prioritizing yourself. And depending on how far down that priority list you have gone, it's going to take even more work to claw your way back up. But you can do it. You really can do it. Can you see yourself climbing that ladder? I want you to imagine that you're at the top, one hand holding on for safety, and the other hand, you're like fist pumping, celebrating that you did it, you got back to the top. All right, next, you've got to determine the goal. Is the thing that you want, now that you've accessed what is it that I want, is your want, is it even a goal? So to know that, we need to understand the difference between a dream and a goal. And thankfully, this distinction is extremely simple. With a dream, you imagine it. I have a dream that someday I'm going to have a really awesome or just functional camper van. I'm going to be able to go camping with my kid. I can imagine that we're like out in the wilderness and we wake up and open the door and there's like a beautiful river or lake in front of us. I can imagine that. A dream lives in your mind. With a goal, this is something that you achieve. One is in the thinking and one is in the doing. So goals are not things that you only think about. Yes, we need to think about them to, plan and decide what they are, but goals are something that you do something about. So let's talk about these 5 characteristics of a goal. Another way to approach a goal is to get smart. So the S, get specific. Instead of just saying, I want a better job, you need to get specific. I want to be working in cybersecurity instead of I want to be stronger. I want to be able to do push-ups or pull-ups. Your goal also needs to be measurable. So how are you going to even know when you've accomplished this goal? stronger or a better job. It's so vague. I will have a job for a cybersecurity company, or I will know I am stronger because I will be able to do 5 push-ups. And next, your goal needs to be achievable. For instance, I'm never going to be able to slam dunk a basketball on a regulation hoop. That's not an achievable goal for me, and that's okay. We need to ask ourselves, how realistic is this goal? Because in my mind, I actually can dream and imagine what it would feel like to like run and jump and slam dunk, and I can imagine that, but that is never going to happen for me. I'm 5, 6, 7 on a good day. It's not going to happen. So if you're working through one of the edX courses, you'll see that the course says at X amount of hours per week, this course is estimated to take about this amount of time. And you need to ask yourself, do I have the time to truly dedicate to this? And then your goal needs to be relevant. Does this goal align with who you are and what your values are? Because if it doesn't, you are not going to pursue it. That is just the cold, hard truth. And lastly, your goal needs to be time bound. It needs to have an end date. Otherwise, it honestly could go on forever. By X date, I will have completed Y. So something like by April 1st, I will have completed my first AI course, or I will be able to do 5 push-ups by June 1st. Now that we've talked about how to choose a goal and kind of how to choose a good goal, we're moving on to step 2, which is this. Write it down. It is seriously sounds so simple, it's insane. A lot of people, they recommend writing down what you want, and there is nothing wrong with that, but I am a firm believer in instead writing down what you will do. So I want to be a blank, so I need to do blank. I want to be a firefighter, so I need to train for the firefighter academy. And then it morphs into action. So if you want to take this to the next level, you speak to yourself as though you have already achieved this goal. I am a firefighter, so I train my body every day. We're claiming this identity for ourselves. I'm a coder, so I spend time learning more about code every day for 30 minutes. Here's a personal example for you. One of my goals is related to some health challenges that I have. I'm reading this book about the power of fasting and intermittent fasting right now, and instead of telling myself, I want to fast for 14 hours a day, or even I'm going to fast for 14 hours a day, I have begun to just say this to myself. I now fast for 14 hours a day. Instead of snacking at night, I make tea. This is my new life. I'm essentially telling my brain, this is my new life. We're making this a new habit. And that way I don't have to fight against this. Well, I want to fast, but I don't want to because I'm really blah, blah, blah. We can make 100 excuses to not do the thing that we say that we're going to do or that we want. It's real complicated. So another example is I want to be a coder. So I am going to learn to code. Or you could take it to the next level and say, I'm a coder, so I spend 30 minutes a day learning to code. So what happens when we do this is that our brains are so amazing, and they begin to create new neural pathways, which is essentially a fancy way of saying your brain has patterns and programs and systems that are running in it all the time. When we shift the way that we talk, it shifts that neural pathway. It breaks an old pattern, it starts a new pattern. So I want you to let yourself sit with this for a moment. You're going to imagine your goal. If you have a specific job title in mind, hold that in your mind. And then you're going to put it into this sentence. There's a goal and there's an action. I am a blank, so I blank. Can you imagine that? Can you feel what it feels like to be in the job that you want, to be in the type of relationship that you want, whatever that goal is? Just take a second and imagine that. I'm going to imagine it for myself as well. Oh, it just feels good, doesn't it? To just claim that and say, this actually is who I am. And all the steps I'm taking right now are just moving me towards that fully. So you might feel lighter, you might feel taller, more capable, more proud. Our brains create this new physical reality in our bodies as well. And this is why in this program, we talk so much about affirmations and self-talk because it seriously matters. The other amazing thing is that when we allow our brains to encode this information, our brains are going to be automatically looking for ways to make this true. So the same goes for focusing on negative things. I'm guessing that other people have been in this place too. If we tell ourselves things like, oh gosh, I'm such a bad friend, or I'm a terrible employee, or whatever, I'm so ugly, no one would ever love me, whatever it is, your brain wants to know what is true. And so if we are feeding it this kind of content, it's going to say, okay, look for all reasons that I am unlovable, ugly, not smart, not capable, and you're going to find them. But if we flip this on the positive, it is truly a superpower. So let's harness that. When we write things down, it is called an external storage. We take it from internal inside to being external. It makes sense, right? Writing down your goals reminds you of the goal, but instead of just writing it down once, I want you to write it down every day. If you just write it once and you post it up somewhere, at first you're going to see your goal and you're going to be like, yes, this is so good. And then research has shown that your brain will actually stop seeing it. It becomes invisible to you because your brain essentially tunes out things that it sees all the time. I don't know if anyone's like me with the pile of laundry that now I just step over instead of actually seeing it and dealing with it. But that's what our brains do. It's just like, oh, this is part of my environment now. The novelty is not there. We don't see it anymore. So how do you do this? This is my recommendation. As a nutritional therapy practitioner, I've worked with a lot of clients on building new habits around health, diet, lifestyle, etc. And this is what I recommend to them, and I'm going to recommend it to you. How do you do this? What is something that you do every single day? And you might be like, oh my gosh, my life is so chaotic. There's nothing. But hopefully you brush your teeth every day, at least twice. Maybe you get into bed every day. You might sit in your car before you head to work. I want you to tack the write it down practice onto something that you are already doing every single day. And how you can create a new neural pathway is saying, before I brush my teeth, I write down my goals. Before I drive away to work, I write down my goals. And then you can get a piece of paper or a small notebook at a place like the Dollar Tree, and you keep that in whatever that place that is, whether it's the bathroom or your car, or you keep it on your pillow so that when you wake up and when you go to sleep, you do this. So you start thinking about a habit that you already have, and you're just hacking this right onto that. So external storage, AKA writing down your goals, leads to this process called encoding. And from a scientific standpoint, the information is essentially getting transferred into the hippocampus, which is the part of your brain that decides what's important and what gets thrown out. When we externalize this information and repeat it, our brains begin to understand that this is important to us. And our brains are filtering the world so that we see more of what is important to us. Our brains desire to make this new pattern true because truth feels safe to our brains and our nervous systems. So what's more is that we start to make decisions that are aligned with our goal-centric thoughts. Do y'all see how powerful this is? If you do, I want you to type yes in the chat. So let's pop over to step 3. We've got a lot of yeses. We see this. We're like, oh my gosh, if it could be so negative, it could actually also be equally as positive. It's amazing. For every success, there is a formula. This is step number 3. There is someone that has done what you are trying to do. As fun as it is to be unique, it makes life really difficult with goal setting if we think that we're so unique that we're the first person to do XYZ and no one understands how hard it is for me. It makes it so that you have to reinvent the wheel. It has already been invented. Somebody else did that for you. And I say this with all the love in the world. You guys don't know me that well yet, but I'm kind of a tough love gal. Like so much compassion, so much empathy, and a little bit of tough love. I say this with all the love in the world. You and I, we're not that special. Not in this way, at least. There is someone doing what you want to do, and you just need to find them. You need to be bold. You make a connection. You seek to understand what did they do to get where they are. You need to find the formula. And yes, we live in the year of 2025, the age of robots. You can absolutely do this with AI. And I know that that's a temptation, but something magical happens in real relationships with other people. We start to discover common ground, and someone else then knows about your goal. They know that you are working towards something that they have already accomplished or they're well on their way to accomplishing. And the beauty of it is that they only need to be a few steps ahead of you to be able to help and encourage you. And that's the same for you as well. If there is a learner on this call who has finished at least one AI course, this person is a few steps down the road than you. She might not have a job in AI, but she's completed a course and she's got tips and tricks. She's following a formula. And a lot of times, with asking other people for help or following a formula, we get all worried about what other people are going to think of us. We don't want to do what other people are doing because we want to do it our own way. You're going to do it your own way because you are a unique individual. You are unique and you're like not so special that you're the only person who's ever wanted to go into cybersecurity or whatever. There's a distinction there, but you will do it in your own way. And when we fear what other people think of us and it keeps us from taking action, gosh, we're doing ourselves such a disservice, because if it works, work it. That's what I say. If it works, work it. If the formula is working for other people, why wouldn't it work for you? So you find it and you follow it. And if you are worried about what other people think, you have to let that go. Your dreams and goals and the places that you want to go in life are so much more important than what other people may or may not be thinking of you. I just want to remind you of that. All right, step 4, get in the reps. It's doing the hard work. It's actually showing up for the course. It's actually going to the gym. It's actually making better food choices, whatever your goal is. So, in one of Mel's goal setting podcasts, she references a research study where there are a couple different groups. It was related to exercise. There were people who just tracked their exercise based on, oh, I went on a walk or I lifted weights for 5 minutes or whatever. And then there were people who made an actual plan for their exercise. In the planning group, 91% of the people followed the plan. What? That's amazing. That is way beyond a vast majority. So if you have a plan and a successful formula, you are well on your way. Writing down a plan matters because it helps you do what is needed to actually move towards your goal. If you don't have a plan, you are going to be at the mercy of your willpower, and your willpower will fail you. Benjamin Franklin once said, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. Wow. Let me read that again. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. That is such a powerful statement. I want to give a personal example. Okay, 7 years ago, I was recovering from a very intense chemotherapy regimen for an extremely aggressive cancer. I was diagnosed at the age of 28. 28? Yeah, 28. Thankfully, it's long enough that I'm starting to forget the details. At that point, I had had chronic health challenges for 10 years. I had done tons of protocols, taken loads of supplements. I was weary. I was so tired of doing this stuff. The thought of doing another healing protocol was exhausting to me. But because of the type of chemo that I went through, if you don't heal from that and rebuild immune system, gut function, all this stuff, I'm looking at spending the rest of my life feeling like crap. So you got to do what you got to do. So I got creative. I made this. On the next slide, you are going to see this apparatus that I created. On one side, there's a little sign that says I will, and then I have cards with whatever health related practice I needed to implement. And once I did that, I got to slide the card over to the other side under the I did side. So every night I would reset the system so it was ready to go for the morning. And the physicality of it gave me that satisfaction of accomplishment. I don't know about you, but we got to figure out what motivates us. So for some of us, like crossing an item off a list is just not satisfying enough. Maybe you like to have different pieces of paper for each of your to-do list items. And once you've done it, you're not just crossing it off, you're actually tossing it, recycling it, so that you have less visual clutter in front of you. This is what worked for me in that season. So as I looked at the chart in the morning, I would have the visual of I did take my probiotic, or sorry, that was after I finished it. In the morning, it would say, I will take my probiotic. I will move my body to create strong muscles. And at the end of the day, I got to read, I did do this. I did do such and such. I had the chance to get it done right then and there if I forgot to do something, because I could see, oh shoot, I haven't moved this card over yet. And through this practice, I learned a really valuable lesson. I keep the promises that I make to myself. And it matters, though, for me, especially with if anyone has any type of neurodivergence, you have to figure out a way that works for you. There is not a one size fits all. And for me, I realized, wow, it actually really matters how I make these promises to myself. So every morning when I looked at this visual and I saw, I will invest time in building strong muscles, I was encoding in my brain, this is important. I was building a new neural pathway. So eventually I got to a place where I didn't always have to look at that chart. I just did it because, oh, this is how habit building happens. Like now this is a part of my life. I did it enough times with the reminder, and now I don't need the reminder. So I just get to slide it on over. It was very satisfying. Here's another hack. This is for when the willpower is just not there, but you're trying to get the reps in. Mel Robbins has this 5-second rule, and it is so rudimentary. It's almost laughable. And she says that as well. So I'm not making fun of her, but you name that the task is hard. I don't want to have a budget meeting. I don't want to put my laundry away. This is hard for me right now. And then you do this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. And you get up and you do the thing. Does anyone else absolutely hate unloading the dishwasher or putting away laundry? Or I don't know, I think household tasks are maybe just not for me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. So you insert whatever to-do list item you struggle with or has a lot of resistance. And it's likely that the amount of time that you actually spent thinking about it is far greater than the amount of time it would have actually taken to do the thing. We spend all this time feeling guilty about not doing the thing or stressing about, I need to do the thing. We could have just done it by now in the same amount of time, if not less. And imagine how accomplished you will feel once that item is checked off your list or thrown in the trash or what slid across the board, whatever works for you. But truly, we need to acknowledge that getting the reps in is hard. In Mel's podcast, she's like, this is not fun. This is not sexy. This is not cool. This is hard work. And it's not always going to be fun. Most of the time, it isn't fun. So we acknowledge that resistance. Wow, today I am really not wanting to sit down at my computer and work on my AI course. This is feeling really hard for me right now. But here comes the affirmation. I'm a coder and I spend 30 minutes learning code every day, or AI, whatever the goal is. So, and then one of the things you acknowledge that it's going to get easier. Motherhood has taught me this so much because every phase of motherhood, you have no freaking clue what you're doing. You're like, oh my gosh, why'd they let me take this baby home from the hospital? Who's trusting me? Like, I should not be doing this. And every sleep change, every behavioral change, developmental stuff, it's always changing. And through all of those changes, I finally got to a place where I was able to be like, this is going to get easier. Anything that is at one time new, if you continue to commit to it, it will become second nature. It will become easier. So you say to yourself, today, this is feeling really hard. But if I stick to it, this is going to become easier. This is going to become second nature for me. Here's another hack for getting the reps in. It's called accountability. It's sometimes there's icky feelings connected with this word, but I want to invite you into this in a way that the desire is for it to be supportive and empowering to you. There is this awesome researcher named Gretchen Rubin. She has a book called The Four Tendencies, and the whole concept of her book is that we all have different motivators, different things that keep us connected to our goals, our values, etc. You might be motivated by a commitment that you made to someone else, or maybe a commitment you made to yourself, you might be a questioner and you might need to know, why does this thing matter? And once you do, you're like, boom, I'm doing it. Or you may be like me, the rebel, where it's like, even you can't talk yourself into doing things you don't want to do. But once you understand this part of yourself, it helps so, so much. Gretchen has this amazing quiz that we're putting in the chat. With this quiz, you can not only find out what tendency you have, but also you can download a full report to understand, what does this mean about you? What does this mean about getting things accomplished or accomplishing goals? Once you have this understanding, you can begin to motivate yourself and hold yourself accountable in ways that work for you. I'm going to share one more little tip that is maybe going to sound weird, okay? I'm not super proud to say this, but I am motivated by being impressive to people. This is something that goes way back into my upbringing and childhood. And I was doing a really hard health protocol with all these supplements and detox therapies and stuff. And I was going into it being like, I know I'm not going to be able to stick to this. So what I need to do is I need people that I can report to, so that when I tell them I did XYZ, I get to feel like, ooh, how impressive am I? Look at me. I did a sauna session and a castor oil pack, whatever it happens to be. And I posted on Instagram and I said, hey friends, I'm doing this protocol for this specific thing I have going on. And I know that I can't do this by myself. So I'm looking for 7 people that are willing to support me. And this is how it will go. Every person will have one day of the week where all you have to do is send me a text and say, hey, how's it going? Or how are you caring for yourself today? Whatever. And then I will respond. Alternately, this is the person that I report to. So it diversifies my support system so that it's not all, I'm always texting my best friend, oh my gosh, this is hard today, or whatever. It diversifies it. It also invited people into this journey with me that a lot of times people love you and they want to support you and they don't know how. And so you have to teach them how. So I was teaching these people, this is how I need to be supported right now. And by texting them and being able to list, ooh, all these things I did for my health today, I felt really proud of myself. And sometimes people were like, whoa, girl, look at you getting it done. And then I'm like, ooh, I'm impressive. I know that people might judge me for saying that, but I'm just sharing with you real things that have helped me accomplish hard tasks in hard seasons of life when willpower is failing, because you got to get the reps in and you got to get creative in how you're going to get that done. All right, we're on to step 5. We could have stayed on step 4 forever. It's just so good. All the ways to get the reps in. Step 5, you need to ask yourself this question. How could I make this more fun and easier? Because there are going to be days, a lot of days probably, where it's not that fun and it's not easy to build new habits. So could you play music when you're at the gym getting after your fitness goals? Could you make your favorite cup of tea or a drink that you love when you're sitting down to have a study session? Might you try lighting a candle? Maybe you make yourself a sticker chart and say, okay, if I study for 30 minutes a day, I'm putting a sticker on each day of the week, and at the end of that time, I'm going to take myself to go do X or see a friend or whatever it happens to be. So you need to set yourself up for success. You can do it by making things fun and easy. You can also do it by things like having a dedicated learning space, planning your study time and not winging it, because as we learned in that exercise research study, the group that was winging it, they were not as successful as the group that made a plan. And you are not going to be as successful if you wing it or you just, oh, well, yeah, I'll fit it in when I can. You have to make the time. You create availability in your schedule. That is the way that you're going to succeed. So in the face of temptation, you have this decision. Am I scrolling or am I goaling? I love that. Scrolling or goaling. Without a plan, you will choose the path of least resistance, because that is what everything about us is created to do, is like, how can I make life easy? But I will tell you this, the path of least resistance, it has never and will never lead to growth. And that's not to say that accomplishing goals can't be empowering and fun and feel like such a sense of accomplishment, because it can. When you find something that you love, it can be fun. But doing the easy thing, It's not going to lead to growth. Another way to make this fun is to bring friends into this. So Ashley shared the interest form up at the top. And Ashley, will you share that again? Actually, you can share this interest form with anyone that you want. You can share it with your friends. It's going to be in the chat and ready for you. This is the first step in getting involved with Verizon Skill Forward if you're not already enrolled. And you could create your own accountability group. If you have a group of friends or coworkers that are like, oh, wait, I totally want to do that, you can create a group where, let's say, once a month or once a week, whatever you decide, you guys check in and you're like, hey, this is how it's going. This is what I've accomplished. This is what I'm learning. We want to create that synergy with other people. Excitement breeds excitement. Motivation breeds motivation. Make it a competition if you want. Just get creative with it. And then step 6, do not ever give up. Don't you dare. Here's the thing. I have to tell you something. It's not going to sound encouraging or empowering at all. Are you ready? Even the best goal setter in the world is going to miss a day or 2 or 20. You are going to fall off the wagon. So am I. You're going to miss a day or 2 or 20. And so am I. It's going to happen. If you consider that to be failure, you are going to quit. And quitters never accomplish their goals. So I got to tell you something. Did you know that you're a human? You got to act like a human. Act like a human that knows that conflicts come up. Act like a human that knows that you're doing your best. Act like a human that knows that perfection is not a real thing. It's not a real thing. Act like a human that is grounded in the reality that hard days will come. You're going to fall off the wagon. So am I. If we can expect this to happen, we will not see it as a failure. We will begin to see it as a learning opportunity. And we, even better, will begin to analyze the setback and ask ourselves some questions with 2 really important things: compassion and curiosity. So I want to give an example. Compassion and curiosity says, why did this happen? How can I prevent this from happening in the future? Here's an example. Let's say you have a goal of meditating every day for 15 minutes, first thing in the morning. That's your goal. You have a plan. You're like, I set my alarm for this time. I get up, I open this app, the Calm app, the whatever. I meditate for 15 minutes in the morning. And one day you fail at it. You don't do it. And you feel the impacts of that during the day. You're less patient, you're less focused. You feel like, oh, this frantic energy. There's 2 ways that you can deal with this. You can beat yourself up. Oh, I can never stick with it. I am such a failure. Gosh, there's no way I will ever be able to be a person that meditates for 15 minutes a day. That was such a stupid goal for me anyways. Gosh, I suck. And then you can keep going to being your frantic, impatient, wild self, and you can slink right back into your old ways. Or you can approach this situation with curiosity. Okay, I didn't meditate this morning. Okay, that's acceptance and acknowledgement. That was not aligned with my goal, but I needed to go to work. So I'm being compassionate with myself. But let me ask this question. Why didn't I meditate today? Well, I slept in too late. I snoozed my alarm a bunch of times. I was exhausted. Okay, why did I snooze? Why was I exhausted? Well, I stayed up really late watching my favorite show. Oh, that wasn't a great choice. Acknowledgement. Why did I do that? I know that that's not a good idea. Well, gosh, I was having that conversation with so and so, and it was extremely stressful, and I was so anxious and angry, and I needed to just escape that. So I just opened my phone or my computer or my TV, whatever. I watched stuff instead, stayed up way too late. Okay, so I didn't have the tools to be able to deal with a hard conversation and the feelings that rose up in me because of that. And therefore, this entire domino effect happened that impacted my whole next day. So when I look with curiosity and compassion, I say, okay, that makes sense. I would do that from time to time because that was a hard situation. I have compassion for myself in that. But I also see that I need to create some better coping skills for dealing with anxiety. You can trace your failure back. And a growth mindset says, okay, next time I'm going to handle my anxiety in a different way. I will either go on a walk, I'll journal, I'll call a friend to process. Sometimes I personally do like kickboxing just in my living room or push ups, whatever, to offload this stress energy. And then we say to ourselves, I know when I prioritize sleep, my mornings are smoother. When I prioritize sleep, I wake up when my alarm clock goes off. And then I meditate, and then my day goes so well. And I want to give myself that gift. By setting myself up for success the night before, I can make decisions that are aligned with my goals and values. So, do you notice the difference in these two approaches? The first approach is grounded in shame. Even speaking those words out loud, I suck, I can never accomplish anything, it actually makes, in this moment, I'm feeling emotional. It makes me want to cry because I know that so many of us have spoken to ourselves that way and we've let other people speak to us that way. Speaking those words out loud, it feels
Is it
bad. I hope it feels bad to you as well. The second approach, it's grounded in grace and self-compassion and curiosity. So I'm coming back to this. No matter what, no matter how many times you fall off the wagon, do not give up. The goal that you are investing in matters. Whether that goal is connected with Verizon Skill Forward and upskilling or not, your goal matters. Because remember what we talked about way back at the beginning of the call. Goals are an absolutely necessary ingredient to living a life of hope. You have to have a goal. And hope, the main message of hope is this: my future can be brighter than my past, and I have the power to make it so. You cannot do that without a goal, my friend. So let's make them specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And when you're getting after it, this is what you're going to do. You're going to answer the question, what do I want? You're going to get so clear on what you want. You are going to write it down every day. You're tacking this onto another habit that you already have. You're going to find the formula, whether you are finding some blogger that's doing what you're doing, what you want to do, or you're finding a physical person that you're like, wow, I want to be like them when I grow up. They have a formula and you are going to find it and you are going to follow it. And then you are going to get the reps in. You are getting the reps in. You're doing the hard work. You're showing up when you don't want to. You're having accountability. You have systems, and you're going to make it a little more fun and a little easier, whether that's with a cool soundtrack or a little dance party, tea candle, whatever. And you are never, ever going to give up. You got this. As we wrap up, I want to invite you into a brief mindfulness practice. Wherever you are right now, can you make yourself a little bit more comfortable? If you're comfortable closing your eyes, go for it. Otherwise, I want you to maybe find a pleasant place to let your gaze rest. Another option is to, Ashley, can we move on to the next slide? Is to stare at this screen as it says, oh, there should be one that's talking about breathing. Oh, there we go. Breathe in, breathe out, repeat. If you want to just stare at that, you can. So we're letting eyes gently close. We have covered so much ground in this call. I want you to take a big breath in and let it out with a sigh. Let's do that again. Breath in and sigh it out. If you'd like, you can place one hand on your chest. Another favorite posture is called the containment hug. You take your right hand, you stick it in your left armpit. You take your left hand and you place it over your right shoulder. This containment hug is essentially communicating safety to our brains and our nervous system as we're protecting the heart space. And our body and our brains, they feel that and they appreciate that. So you can stay in this posture if you'd like. And then I want you to just slow down your breathing. We're going to spend just a moment to speak truth and goodness over ourselves. If you want to repeat these phrases out loud, as long as you're muted, you can. Otherwise, you can just listen to this and repeat them in your mind. Self, I see you. In this moment, I choose to slow down. I choose to honor myself. I have big goals. I am motivated to accomplish them. I give myself grace for past and future failings. I'm going to read that one again. I give myself grace for past and future failings. I release all guilt. No matter what I have believed before this moment, I am choosing to now believe that I am capable. I am smart. I spend time on things that matter to me. My days reflect my values. I keep the promises I make to myself because I am worth it. I keep the promises I make to myself because I am worth it. I am worth it. I want you to take a few intentional breaths here. You don't need to necessarily change anything. I just want you to bring your awareness to what it feels like to be breathing right now, to have this miracle of lungs expanding as you breathe in and squeezing together as you breathe out. Notice the sound of your breathing. Notice even if there are any places in your body that might need a little bit more gentleness from you. And allow whatever feelings are coming to the surface for you today. We covered so much ground in this call. You might be feeling so pumped and inspired to just get after it. You might be feeling a little overwhelmed. You might be feeling empowered. You might be crying right now, and it's all welcome. Allow, if you are experiencing emotional feelings of whether you're crying or anger, allow yourself to just take note like, wow, this is important to me. This is important to me. That's why I'm feeling this way. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for being here today. It has truly been an honor to get to share this space with you as we have taken a deep dive into goal setting. As we wrap up our time together, I want to invite you to choose one of the following statements to put into the chat as our send off. Or you can choose them all. I believe in you. I believe in me. I believe in us. Whichever one is speaking to you, or if you want to get the external storage of typing all of those out, I believe in us. I believe in us. I believe in us. There's so many us's. Yes. I believe in you. I believe in me. I believe in us. We will win, win, win. Yes. I love that so much. Oh, it's so good. We are cheering you on so much and here to support you however we can. If you have not already joined our private Facebook group, we will be continuing to share all kinds of resources to support you in your upskilling journey. It's such a great place to go to connect with other learners. We share mindfulness tips there, food for thought, helpful podcasts, all kinds of stuff. You are going to love it. You're going to be encouraged and benefited from it. Let's see, we've got 5 minutes. Ashley, I did see a couple questions come in. Are you keeping track of those so that we can just address them before this 1 hour mark?
Yes, yeah, I was just scrolling through and seeing if there's anything we
Okay.
need to address. I think the one question, the most recent one was basically just this is a lot of great information. Where will it be able to find it? Like, will you share the slides? Will you share the video? What can people expect?
Great question. Let's do this. Let's share the slides and the video in the Facebook group. So join our Facebook group if you haven't already. And then also, you know what, y'all, as I was typing out this script and really just allowing myself to be saturated in goal setting and mindset work, I had the thought of I kind of want to turn this into an ebook. So maybe we'll turn this into an ebook that you can have. If that would be helpful, type in yeah, girl in the comments.
Yeah, I think the links are also really helpful for people. So either in the Facebook group or the ebook, wherever we could kind of share that.
Okay.
Specifically
Oh, to
I can't
Gretchen
remember.
Rubin and stuff.
Thank you. Yes, you knew
Yeah.
exactly what I was going to say.
Yes, girl. Woo! Okay.
Um,
That'll be
one
that'll be fun too
question.
for my to-do list. All right, we got another one.
Yeah, just it was from our friend Lou. So sorry, can you just explain again about the brain overlooking things that you can see often and how to overcome it? So it was the
Yeah.
portion. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
brain
I
went
can.
right to it.
Okay, I'm not a psychologist, so I'm going to share this in the way that I have understood it. I was listening to an Andrew Huberman podcast. He actually is a psychology researcher, and he was talking about how our, gosh, I can't remember the specific term for it, but essentially let's see. I used to have a note card that I put up right above my light switch because I see it all the time. And what it said is just start. And I saw it all the time. I'm like, okay, just start, Karianne. You don't have to do the whole project, just start. But then I did actually stop seeing it in the same way that you might have a piece of art in your house and you don't even notice that it's there anymore because our brain starts to tune it out. Our brain loves novelty. So one of the ways that you can kind of circumvent this is if you did have, let's say, a 3x5 card down that had your goal on it, you could move it every day. You could move it to different places because your brain's going to be like, I have a blank wall to my right. My brain is used to having a blank wall there. If there's all of a sudden a note card there, I'm like, oh, yes, I am XYZ, and I will see it. But the longer it's there, I don't even look at it anymore. Hopefully, that really rudimentary explanation is helpful, but you can write it down. That's more the external storage. And that's what Andrew Huberman says. He's like, sure, note cards are great, but only if you move them, or you need to actually write it down every day. The writing it down is the most powerful way to go.
That's super helpful. That
Yeah.
was the only other question that I saw in the chat.
Oh, great. So we're good?
Yeah, I
All
think
right.
we're good. Oh my gosh, exactly 1 hour. Fantastic job.
Ah, perfect. Thank you all so much for joining us. This was so fun. I can't wait to just continue to support you and see what y'all do, especially with really concrete steps to take. You don't have to make it up. Other people have done it for you already. The formula is there. You got to find it, get your reps in, and we will be all like, woo, from the sidelines. You are doing amazing. Make it a great weekend, friends. We'll talk to you soon.